All right, guys. Welcome back. Hope you guys have been having fun with this project so far. Um, uh, we started out here where we made our 1 inch cube at eye level. Then in part two, which is what you guys should be working on right now, is we are creating our cubes above and below eye level. So hope you guys are having a good time with that. But if you remember, I set up this third artboard down here, and this is a little surprise I'm adding in, and we're going to dive a little deeper into perspective and how perspective works. So in today's demo, we're going to be talking about multi-point perspective. So what is multi-point perspective? Well, it's an artistic technique that utilizes more than two vanishing points to create the illusion of depth and space in a drawing or a painting, or even in your designs. Multi-point perspective really comes in handy when you're trying to depict complex scenes with object at various angles. And here you'll see the examples of this. We have an empty box like we've drawn in part two, but this time we're going to be adding on these top parts that will be the flaps that close the box. And I'm going to be demonstrating how to build this, and then I'm also going to demonstrate what these multiple points are and how we can adjust them to change the angles in our drawings. So with that being said, let's just jump right in, guys, and get started. Okay, so we're back in our project. We have on our first artboard our 1 inch cube that we made at eye level. Then we have our second artboard here, which right now you guys should be working on and drawing your two cubes, one above eye level and one below eye level. So I hope you guys are having a fun time doing that. But now we're going to focus our attention on our third artboard, and this is where we're going to be drawing our box with our flaps using multi-point perspective. So let's get started with that. The first thing I want to do is make sure that we're not on our drawing layer. We can be on our eye level layer for this. So I want to bring our guides back up just for a minute because we're going to make some new guides. So if you remember, in the past two tutorials, we created our guides for these pages. So now I want to set up some guides on this page. So again, we were using 1/2 inch margins. So this artboard was directly under this one. So we are already set and have our left and right margins. So now all we need to do is make our top and bottom margins. So if you remember, I did mine like this using the rectangle tool. You don't have to do it that way. Again, just stressing, I'm not trying to sell what I do here. I'm just showing you different ways you can do things. If you want to make your guides and figure out your ruler measurements to do that to equal 1/2 an inch, please feel free to do it however you want. But for me, I'm doing it like this. So I'm going to select my rectangle tool. I'm going to make sure that this eye level layer is unlocked because we can just set these guides on that layer. So just make sure that layer is unlocked. And from there, we're going to make a temporary guide. And I'm going to be using my rectangle. I've got it set up for 1/2 an inch. I'm just going to hit OK. And you see, if you ever see that where there's nothing there after you make a shape, again, this is where our fill and strokes are. You can see there was no fill color set when I made that, so you'll just hit your black swatch there to make your black stroke around that rectangle. So then I'm going to do what I've done before. I'm not going to talk much about this because you've already seen me do it. I'm going to bring that horizontal guide there. Then I'm going to take and move this square down here. I'm going to let it pop on this corner down here. Then I can bring my guide down and snap to that point, and that gives me my margins all the way around. And now I can select that rectangle and delete it because it was just a temporary guide. So from there, I want to set up some more guides on the page. And the first guide I want to make is for our eye level line. So for this particular project, I want our eye level to start 3 inches down from the top of the page. So again, I'm using my little trick that I use. I'm going to use my same old trick here, making a square, and it doesn't have to be a square. You can use the line tool as a measurement guide too, but I don't know why, I just like making squares. What can I say? I'm going to snap that to the top of that page. Then I'm going to bring me another guide down here and snap right there. And now we know that that guide is 3 inches from the top of the page down to this point right here. So also while we're doing this, I'm going to make 2 more guides on the left and right side. I'm going to make these 2 inches wide. And obviously, you don't have to make this 2. It could be 1. Just this is the number I'm worried about, is how wide it is. So I'm going to make it 2 inches wide. And you say I set that vertical size at 1, but anyway, I'm just showing you that it's 2 inches from here to here. All right, so I'm going to do the same thing there. I'm going to snap that box to the corner of our page. I'm going to snap a guide there. I'm going to move this box over here. I'm going to pull me another guide out from here in my rulers. And I'm going to snap it right there. And what that does is it gives me exactly 2 inches from the side of our page into this guide, and the same on this side. And again, guys, if you ever are dragging guides out and they're not moving, it's because they're locked. And if you remember how we unlock our guides and lock them, are under View, Guides, and you can lock your guides. I'm going to leave those unlocked for now because I want to make one more guide. So the last guide I'm going to make is going to be where we find our location to the bottom of our box that we're going to draw. And I want the bottom of that box to be 2 inches from here to the page end right here. So I'm going to go here again. I'm going to make me another 2 inch. I'm just going to go ahead and make it rectangular this time. Why not? I'm going to pop that down, same routine, go up here, drag a guide down, and it's going to pop right there to my temporary guide that I made. And voila, we have 1/2 inch margins. We have our eye level set from 3 inches from the top to this point. We have 2 inches from here to this point and 2 inches from here to this point. And I'll tell you why we're doing that in a few minutes. And then we have our 2 inches to the bottom of our cube. So now I'm just going to lock these guys down under View, Guides, Lock. So now the first thing I want to do is I want to create our eye level line like we did on our other pages. So yes, you could go in and redraw all that again, but why would you want to do that when you've already got them drawn? So what I'm going to do, and I'm going to hide my guides for now so we can see a little bit better what we're doing. So if you remember, we made our eye level guide layer right here. So what I want to do, and you just make sure that that's unlocked if it happens to be locked, and you'll select that. And I want to go and I'm just going to copy this so I don't have to draw it all again, because that's just a waste of time to do that. So you can use your selector arrow and you go down here and you can select that circle right there. But this goes back to what I was showing you in the last tutorial, how you can use your shift key with your selection arrow and select multiple objects. So I have this circle selected, so with my shift key held down, I'm going to select the line, and you'll see it selects the line also. And I'm going to zoom in here. So I have my circle selected and I have my line selected. And I'm going to continue holding my shift key with my selection arrow, and I'm going to zoom in here a little bit closer because you have to get in tight sometime, guys. And I'm going to still hold my shift key down, and I'm going to select that circle also. Now I have every element selected. So from here, what we can do is I can show you how grouping works. Those were 3 individual pieces. So now what I can do is group those together. And to do that, I'm going to go to Object, and you'll see here Group. And so when you group it, what that does is when you select it, all of that is one shape now. There's still individual shapes within the group. It just puts them together so you can just keep everything as one shape, and that just allows you to keep everything grouped up and together as one piece. I'm just showing you how that works. So I'm going to undo that and set that back there where it was so I don't mess that up. So from there, what I can do is I can just hit copy, and it's going to copy all the elements in that group. And I'm going to arrow out so you can see. I'm going to take my black selection arrow, and I'm going to select this artboard, and then I'm going to hit paste in place. And if you remember, I showed you guys that last time, and that is going to put it exactly where this line was on this artboard. Okay, let me show my guides again. I'm going to go to View, Guides, Show Guides. Now, when we did paste that, it pasted it in the middle of the page because that's where I wanted it up on our first artboard. But this time, I told you guys I wanted our eye level to be 3 inches down. Well, I pasted it in place just so my left and right margins would stay exactly the same and everything would be accurate. So now I'm going to take my black selection tool, and I'm going to hold my shift key, and I'm going to pop it up to that guide. So now we know that is at 3 inches. And again, zooming in to make sure you can see there it didn't quite snap. So when I zoom in and I hold my shift key and arrow up again, you can see go to that intersection point. So always kind of zoom in and make sure you're right rather than trying to work way back here to see these little details. So now I can go in and lock my eye level, and we're done with that for now. The next step, we're going to begin to start making the front side of our cube. So as you guys already know, the first thing we need to do to start drawing our box is make the front line of our cube. And again, we need to be on our drawing layer, and we're going to have our stroke set at black. But I'm going to change things up a little bit here just to let you guys use the tools that Illustrator gives us. So all of our other strokes that we've been making through this tutorial have been 1 point in weight. Well, for our final box that we're going to make with our flaps, I want you guys to increase this stroke weight to 2 point. And that's going to really make this box stand out once we're done with this. So I'm going to make my vertical line. I'm going to make my line height at 1 inch. I'm going to set that at 90 degrees. There we go. There's our line. We're going to take our black selection arrow, and I'm going to pop it down right here on this guide that we made for the bottom of our cube. All right, so there is our first line for our box with flaps. Anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and lock that drawing layer down. So I'm going to go to my eye level layer now, and I'm going to unlock it, and I'm going to hide my guides. And so from there, if you remember, when we copied this eye level from our other artboard, I grouped it so it would all be one object. But now I'm going to go back in and ungroup this. That way I can select each element that was in that group. Now it's all separate. And what I want to do is get my selection arrow. I'm going to hit Command C because I want to copy this circle, or you can go edit and copy, and then you can go edit, paste in place. And that made a duplicate of it. I can select it and drag it with my shift key held down, and it stays straight. Let me show my guides for a minute. So now that we've made our second little circle here, I'm gonna pop it where we made that 2-inch line, and I'm gonna get to the point where you guys will understand why I'm doing these other dots here. So I have this one circle or dot that's on this margin intersection that we created, and I have selected that now with my selection arrow. I'm going to hit copy, and then I'm going to hit paste in place again. And this is where I'm dragging and holding my shift key down and dragging over to keep it lined up, and I'm going to put that second circle on this other guy we made. So now we have a 2-inch distance on each side where I placed these new red circles. And these are going to be part of our vanishing points for this project. So I'm going to hide these guys. I'm going to lock the eye level layer because I drew all those shapes, even the ones I drew just now, are on the eye level layer. So I've locked those down so I can't move them. The eye level is at 3 inches from the top. Now I can go and create my vanish points, because these two vanish points that I introduced are going to be the ones that we set our cube to. So I'm going to unlock the vanishing guides layer. I believe that we had the stroke, which you can flip here, or you can pick that up there to make your stroke color. And I believe that we did those other guidelines on our other artboard at 20. So I'm going to hit 20. And that gives us 20 cyan, 20% cyan. And I can always check it by using my eyedropper tool on the first artboard where we used these guides. You can see that I selected that and it's 20% cyan. So from here, I've got my line set at the color I want. I use the eye picker to get the color and the weight of my first artboard guidelines. Selecting my line tool, going to where it intersects to my front corner. And sometimes, guys, if it feels like it doesn't snap, again, use your white arrow tool and you can select just that node, and it only moves that one side of the line. You can pop it right there in the middle. Same thing here. Gonna make this guideline to this vanishing point. Do the same here, find intersect. And then I'm going to intersect from there to here. I'm going to zoom in and double check that those look good. They do, they're hitting right there in the middle of that circle. And that's how powerful your snaps are, guys. So now we're ready to make a temporary guide to finish out each side of the box. So we're going to use our line tool. We're going to click on the canvas. We're going to set the length of that line at 2 inches, and we're going to do it at 0%. And that creates a 2-inch horizontal line. And this is what I'm going to be using as a guide to locate my other 2 vertical lines. I moved that down by holding the shift key, by the way. And if you want to check your horizontal center of that line on the page, you click that, but it was already centered. So from here, I want these line segments, this line is 2 inches wide. I want these line segments to hit on this point of this guide on each side. So what I'm doing is I'm going to take my white selection arrow tool. I'm going to select that line, and then I can select my node once you're on your white arrow, and I'm going to hold my shift key down and I'm going to pull that straight down. And what that does is it's not going to let me change the distance of the 2-inch line that we made. We can just simply click on that node and hit shift key and come straight down. The shift key will hold it at a 90-degree angle, and you'll see it snap to that line point right there. So now we're going to lock that down for a moment, and we're going to unlock our drawing layer. I'm going to eyedrop this line that we made. It is a black stroke, and remember we changed our drawing layer strokes to be 2 points this time, just to be a little bit thicker. So when I eyedrop that, it picks up the color and the line thickness. So now I'm ready to use this guide to make our vertical lines, and you can see those lines are thicker. Those are 2-point lines. So I'm going to my white arrow, because you'll use this white arrow a lot. I can select that line and see that there's a node there. So with my white arrow tool, I can go and snap. And for now, I'm just going to go ahead and draw another node here by hand. I'm holding the shift key down, pulling it down until it snaps and hits my guideline right there. So now I can delete this temporary guide that I made, and I have put him on this guide layer down here. So I need to unlock that, and then I can delete that temporary guide. So now I'm going to lock my drawing layer. I know this gets a little confusing, guys, with the layers, but it has to be done. A little bit more. Now we can make the rest of our vanishing guides for our cube. So I'm just going to fly through this right now. We're going to take this intersect point where it says intersect, and we're going to go up and hit that point there. Same here. And then we're going to get our bottom side of the box from that side to the opposite side. Same here to that side. I'm using a laptop, you guys, and my finger didn't go all the way across. That's the only reason I'm dropping this. So now we have our guidelines, and they all should be zooming in again, hitting that middle point right here. And I can check that by selecting those and see where that node is landing. So I'm double clicking my hand here to get back out. Now we have our guides to make our cube. And now I'm going to lock the guide layer, unlock the drawing layer, select the drawing layer, and you'll remember from our past tutorials, we've learned how to use the pen tool. So I have my pen tool selected, and then we're going to start creating our shapes for the sides of our boxes. So I'm just going to start right here, for instance. And we'll just go around like I did in the other tutorials and make that box. Same here, we'll start on this side, coming back towards that shape and make that box, snapping to those intersect points. Then if you use your imagination, you'll see that if this is an empty box, that the back corner of this box is going to be straight down these two guides right here where they intersect. So I'm going to start right here where it says intersect. I'm going to hold my shift key down, and then it goes to intersect at that point. Then I'm going to come across right there, snapping as it goes along, snapping and snapping. Now we have to make this side of the box. I'm going to start right here. I'm going to go around. And there's the four sides of our box. I'm going to deselect that just a minute. All right, now we're actually not done yet because we're looking down into the box. So we're going to have another shape here, and you'll see why I'm creating all these shapes in just a moment. But right now, we don't have a shape here, even though it looks like we do. We don't. So I'm going to draw one more shape in here to make the bottom of our box. Intersect, 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 and intersect. Okay, so now if I break these apart just to show you guys, we have all the sides and the bottom of our box. And I'm going to undo that with Command Z just to get back. So now and always checking your layers. We have our 2 layers here for our guides that are locked, and we want them to be because I want to show you something else you can do. When you're trying to select multiple objects with your selection arrow, you can drag and select. So you want to make sure your other 2 layers are locked for this, because right now I can drag and select all those at one time. And the reason why I'm doing that is, if you remember, Illustrator has got this little hiccup where it doesn't form these corners exactly. I wish it didn't do that, but it did. But here's how we fix it. If you remember, we have all these lines selected now. We just have to go over to our stroke options panel, and beside the corner label right here in this middle one, you'll see round join. And when you do that, you'll see that it takes care and cleans all that up. So now we have our cube. So from there, we're going to go on to our next point, where we're going to be creating the flaps. So to recap this one, we created a new eye level at 3 inches tall. We created 2 vanishing points, so the perspective looks a little more distorted, like you're looking back over it, back and say this is the horizon line back here. It just gives you more of that effect of depth. So that's why I added in these 2 vanishing points that are further in from our original vanishing points, and you can see how that changed the way that cube looks. Alright guys, from there we're going to start making our flaps. Alright, so to wind this project up, we're going to make the flaps for the top of our box, and then we will be done with this project, guys. I know it's been a lot to take in. There's a lot of tools to use. I've tried to go into as much detail as I can, so you guys can always have this to go back and watch and learn from. So from here, we will make our new layer, and we're going to do that under layers, under the hamburger menu, and we're going to say new layer, and this is where we're going to introduce our multi-point perspective. So I'm going to call this multi-point guides. We want to make sure that the multi-point guide layer is on the bottom, and for now I'm going to lock my drawing layer. So we have our multi-point guide layer selected, and what I'm going to do is now show you how multi-point perspective works. Alright, so the first thing we want to do is make some guidelines. We're going to make our guidelines with our line tool. We're going to take and make our guidelines back to 1 point. And I want you guys to make your guide colors for this layer magenta. We're going to choose our magenta color here, and I'm going to do it 20%. So this is the magenta slider at 20% in saturation. And that just makes it a little bit lighter so it's not overtaking our drawing. All right, to begin with, this looks confusing when you first see it, but it's really not, guys, and the way I'm going to show you this is really going to clear it up for you. If we pick a vanishing point, and it can be anywhere on the top and bottom of this eye line or below it, just say, for instance, I'm going to start right here, and I'm going to bring that line to the corner of that box right there. Well, let me deselect that. So if you take your other vanishing point line, it's just like we're using vanishing point lines here. We're just doing it in a different way. I'm going to snap to this point, and I'm going to make another vanishing point to this corner of the box. So this is going to be the direction that our flap is folding out to. If you remember, I can use our direct selection tool, which is our white arrow, and I can drag, and I want to select both those points because they're snapped together right there. And the reason I'm doing this is I'm going to show you, and this is going to really make sense of how this works. So now you can see, and I'm adjusting that angle. So if you wanted the flap of that box to go like way down at a harsh angle down towards the side of the cube. You see how that happens by moving this vanishing point. So if you wanted it to flip up, you see now how that would work by moving these guidelines in your perspective point up here. So now you can kind of see the direction that flap would go. I think for this tutorial, I'm going to make my flap somewhere, let's just say around there. And that would have the one side of my flaps created. Actually, I think I want to bring that. I'm going to bring that up a little bit, I think, maybe somewhere around there. All right, so that is one of our vanishing points. So now we're going to have another vanishing point for this side of our box. So I'm just going to just say I'm going to pick a point. Say I want this flap maybe I want it to raise up a little bit. So I'll probably start just somewhere out in here. And then I'll snap to that corner. I'm going to deselect and select my line tool again. And then I hit that point right there where it snaps. And I'm going to go to this point. So you can see this angle it forms is going to make this flap appear like it's lifting up. I may not want it to go that far up. Again, I'm using my direct selection arrow. I'm going to drag out and just select those two nodes right there. See, it won't select those nodes when you're using your direct selection arrow. So I can look and see how I want this to fold out. So I don't know. I think somewhere around there would be good. So now let's go back to the back right side of our cube and make that flap. Let's do something real crazy right here. I'm just gonna go. Let me go way up here. I'm gonna come down to that corner. Then I'm gonna go to this corner here. Actually going to zoom in, guys, just to make sure I'm hitting those points right. Scroll down so I can see the other side of it. That intersection right there. And I'm dropping it there because my finger ran out of space on my trackpad, so I'm getting my white selection arrow. And then I'm going to select the end node of that line, and I'm going to join it together there. And now you can see how you can adjust the angle of that flap that we're going to make it. It's starting to make sense, guys. Now we just have this one side of our box, our back left side. So I'm going to just say, okay, well, how do I want this flap angle to feel as it's traveling back as you look at it? Well, I'm just going to start in here at this point, and I'm going to go to that corner. I'm going to deselect by tapping on the page with my selection arrow. Then I'm going to take and move this out to this point. I'm going to select those because I'm just going to show you how you can change it. You know, I may give it a little more distortion. I could bring it somewhere around here. But I don't know, because I've got this side going up. I think I'm going to actually bring that maybe kind of like that. And then maybe I'm going to bring this down a little more like that. Is this starting to make sense, guys? I know there's a lot of lines going on, but when I finish this up, you'll see, oh, okay, that's what he's doing. So I'm going to go now. I'm ready to start drawing my flaps. So I'm going to lock my multi-point guide layer. I'm going to select my drawing layer. I'm going to unlock my drawing layer. I'm going to use my eyedropper tool and select my box drawing lines, which is now going to pick back up with an eyedropper. It's going to pick up the weight at 2 and the color at black. So now I want to zoom in a little bit here. I'm going to use my pen tool. And this is where we're going to draw our flaps. So I'm just going to go to this point right here where it intersects with my pen tool. And you want to stay on this multi-point guideline that we made, which are the magenta lines. So you're just going to click on around with your pen tool, and you can see by using your eye here, you're going to have to use your eye and guess, well, where's that going to feel like it's correct there to flow back, and I think that looks pretty good. And again, you're staying on those guidelines, and you're going to finish your shape up. So you can see there how that's drawn. And you can see that angle, it looks like it's kind of falling down a little bit. So now we're going to make another one of our flaps. Let's start with this one over here. I'm just going to go over here to our point here and just kind of guessing. This is where you just have to use your eye, guys, and you can see how you can use these vanishing point lines to run parallel to this line. So I'm going to say about like that. Then we're going to come around and we're going to finish that shape out. And you can always adjust it. If I feel like I didn't get it quite right, I can use my direct selection arrow and I can move that point where I want it. So we may try it like that. So now we can move on to our other flap, which is going to be our back right corner, and it's raising upward, as you can see. So I'm going to start, I'll start from this corner, why not? And again, this is your eyeballing part right here. This is where you're actually drawing and not using guides on that line. So there we have created the perspective of this flap that looks like it's raising back up into this direction. Now you can probably start seeing the three-dimensionality of this, and we know that this flap will be drawn in this direction here. So I'm grabbing my pen tool, come out, keeping all my guidelines there to snap. I'm going to come back across here. Finish this shape up and see how I feel about that. Part of me feels like this needs to be a little bit wider. I don't know why, but that's just, you know, this is art. It's up to you. It's however you feel like you want to do it. You do want to try to make it follow those vanishing point guides, and that's why we're using these vanishing point guides, because they help you direct your perspective in the correct way. But if you look at that and you say, oh, okay, I want to change something, well, I think I do. I think I'm going to take this guy right here. Oh, sorry, I've got to unlock my multi-point guides. I think I want him to be, maybe I just want him to be more in here, like maybe like this. So if you want to adjust it, I just selected those two nodes and moved my vanishing point, and that allows me to find the perspective angle of this flap. So then you can go back to your direct selection tool and you can snap it there by selecting that node, and you can select this node and snap it to that vanishing point line. And you see right there how it changed the direction of that flap. And that's how multi-point perspective works. I only want to introduce one more tool, and that's going to be our fill, and how to put things in front or behind each other. So we're going to start with getting our selection tool, and what I want to do, guys, is fill these with white, and this will complete our empty box. So we'll start, say, with this line right here, and since we didn't have a fill, you can see through. This is all transparent, as you can see. So if I wanted to select this back side of this box, I can just select that line right there. And we're going to want to go up here to our fill color, and we're going to make that white. And I know you didn't see anything happen, But now that area is filled with white, and we can click in the middle of this blank area now. Even though it's white, it's solid, and we can pick it just by picking this area right here. So we've made that fill color. We're going to go in and select it from here, I think, so we can still see through it. And we're going to make our fill color white there. So now we have those two filled. I'm going to go ahead and fill this flap with white. Same here. White. You'll see everything start coming together, guys. Filling that with white. Filling that with white. I'm going to fill this guy with white. And this is where the order comes into play. The reason why you still see this line is because this shape right here is in front of this shape. So this side of the box has to be moved back. How do you do that? Well, when you select this side of your box, you go to Object, you go to Arrange, and you can say Send to Back. And when you do that, it puts it behind this side of the cube. Because remember, we filled this with white, now it's solid. So that's when you have to start putting things in order. So in order for that line to have gone away, that side of the box has to be behind that side of the box. And you'll see probably the same thing happen over here, because this is not filled with a color yet. I'm going to fill it with white. And it's the same thing. You see, I filled it with white. You didn't see anything happen. But that's because this side of the box is in front of this side. So if you take that side of the box, that back side, you go to Object, you go Arrange, and you go Send to Back. And there it puts this shape behind this shape. And this flap is in front of this side of the cube. This flap is in front of this. So you can see how you order it. So now that leaves the only part that we have not filled is the bottom of our box. And you may see where, well, I got lucky there, it did select it. Sometimes it will get confused and it will want to select that box. But luckily it selected it this time. But if you got to this point and you cannot select the bottom of this box and it keeps selecting, say, this side of the box, and you need to be able to select this bottom part, select this back side of the box, and then you can go to Object and you can just hide it temporarily without hiding your layers, and that's under Object and Hide Selection. And so what that does is just hides that temporarily so you can go in and click that part of the shape that makes up the bottom of our box. I just wanted to show you guys that because sometimes when everything's perfectly lined up and you're trying to pick either this or this or this or this, it can't differentiate which one you're trying to pick. So I just have found by years of doing this is you can just hide one element temporarily just so you can select another one. If you want to bring that shape back into view, you just go back to Object and hit Show All, and it will bring that back. Now let's finish this out. We're just finishing touches just so everything looks nice and clean. I want to lock our other layers down here that we were doing our guides on. We can leave our drawing layer unlocked, and I want to unlock our eye level guide. We're going to take our black selection tool. So I'm going to zoom in, and I'm going to select this circle right here. I've got my eye level layer unlocked, and what I'm going to do is hold my Option key down while I'm selecting that, and that makes a copy. If I don't want to do that, you can go Edit Copy again and Edit paste in place, and that just keeps it where you can still get to it once you paste it. And so that makes another one of those. So all I wanted to do is, these are just totally decorative. I want you to just throw them on these intersect points right here. Same here, I'm going to copy and paste. Put it up to that intersect. I'm doing it different ways. So this time I'm going to use my command key and I'm going to select and drag, and that's going to make a copy that way. It's just showing you different ways you can do it. I might have to zoom in here because it's not snapping correctly. Bring that guy right here to that point. And then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm on the Option key on my Mac and pull and drag, and that makes another one. And there is that one. So there is our 4 points that we made for our flaps. I'm going to use my Shift key and select each one of those circles. I'm going to go up to my fill color and I'm going to make those black. So there's only one other thing I wanted to do, and then we'll wrap this project up, is want to make our guidelines dashed like we did on page 2. So to do that, I'm going to go in here, and this goes back to where you can select multiple things. Let me unlock that layer. Just going to lock all of them now just so I can get in here. I can select that, and we're going to make that back to our dashed line, and we're going to set that as 3 points. And then you can use your eyedropper so you don't have to retype all that in again. And remember, that's going to take the same color. So if you went to your magenta lines and you pick this with an eyedropper, well, that means it's going to change it to that cyan color. So we don't want to do that. So to start off with, when we do our guidelines for our multi-point vanish guides, we're going to have to do this one first by hand. We'll change it to dashed, and then we'll make sure it's set to 3. And then from here on, and sometimes if you get in here and it's tight and you don't think you can drag without selecting anything else like that, just take your Shift key, you click once, then you hold your Shift key down and you click again. That selects both those lines. Then you can go to your eyedropper tool, you'll select that, and you can do the same. Obviously I could have just selected each one of those lines with my Shift key and then hit my eyedropper and it all been done at once. And I can still do that over here because I've still got these guys to go. So I'm using my Shift key to go ahead and select these other 2 lines, and that way you're just saving time. So from here, just a couple more finishing touches. We're going to introduce the text tool. So here we have our text tool. Here you can see your characters. Mine's defaulted at Myriad Pro. I'll just leave that here for now. There's how you select if it's bold or not. This particular font doesn't have a bold option, and then there's your point size. So say I want to designate these as vanishing point 1 and then vanishing point 2. So I'm going to click right there. You're going to see some Lorem Ipsum come up, which is dummy text in layman's terms. And I'm going to hold my Shift key down and make these caps. I'm going to put VP space 1, vanishing point 1, and we can put that guy, say, right here above that little circle. Then if we want to keep that on the same plane, we can copy it and we can hit paste in place. So that makes another VP1 right above that. I'm holding my Shift key down as I'm moving this over with my selection arrow. I'm just going to eyeball these. I'm just showing you guys how to use it. Then I'm going to change that to 2. now I want us to number our multi-point perspective guides. Go to say this VP1, and we can, I'm just going to hit Command C and Command V. When you just do Command C and Command V, it just throws it somewhere. That's why I use paste and place a lot, but for this tutorial, I just thought I would show you just regular copy and paste and what it does. So here, I want this to be, say, my first multi-point. And I'm going to copy and paste that. The only reason I'm copying and pasting, guys, it just keeps everything, I just know that everything's going to be consistent. So it's going to be the same font size and everything. I'm just clicking on that to change that to 2. Now I'll just copy that one, why not? And put this one guy down here. And if you want to select that without click, sometimes I'll click it 3 times and it'll select if you click it 3 times, but if you don't want to do that, you can just hit your type tool here and you would highlight it as you would in any other program. So that's going to be number 3. I'm just going to kind of center it up right there. And we will take that, copy, paste. Oh, we put it behind our white box, so let's undo that. So I'm going to hit copy and then paste in place. Because when I copy and just did a regular paste, it threw it behind that flap right there, so it was going to be hard to get to, so I just redid it. Anyway, we're going to make that number 4, and that'll make our 4th vanishing point that we did to make our flaps. And by the way, guys, all the text in these black circles I'm making, I am throwing on our drawing layer. I forgot to lock those down, but just make sure that you put these little finishing touches that I'm doing with the text and the circles on the drawing layer, because it's on top. So to finish this thing up, I just want to copy and paste this number 4 here, and I just want to designate that flap goes there. Copy and paste this 1, and I'm going to put it on this flap here. Just go around and do each one. I'm just doing Control C, Control V. I'm not worried about pasting in place on this right now. I say Control, I meant Command C and Command V. So the last thing I want us to do is just add us a little title up here just to finish it off. I'm just going to press my caps lock, and we will call this multi-point space perspective. I'm not going to do anything fancy. I'm just showing you guys how to use the tools. So onto my type tool, clicked on the canvas, put in my text. Simple as that, pretty self-explanatory. And you can make this text bigger here by your point sizes. And let's see. Let's just center it up top right there. So I'm going to let you guys put that where you want to. I'm not going to dictate everything you guys do. But I am going to open up my alignment, and I actually already have it up over here, and I'm going to hit that alignment, and it's going to center that text to the page. I may arrow it down a little bit, why not? Okay guys, I know that was a lot, but I feel like this probably showed you a lot of tools that you can use in Illustrator to get you started in the software. So with that being said, this is going to be your final output that you're going to submit for this project. You'll have these 3 pages. I want you guys to save this out as an Illustrator file, and then I want you to save this out as a multi-page PDF. And before we close out, I'm going to show you how to do that, and then you should be ready to submit your assignments. So once you've gotten to this point, you have all this completed, you're going to go to File. And by the way, throughout this whole process, I didn't do it during the tutorial because I'm trying to keep up with so much, but you need to be saving your work periodically through as you work. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and save my document since I haven't saved it yet. See, it's easy to forget. I've been doing this for a long time, but I'm putting so much effort into these videos, sometimes things slide, but that's life. It happens, and that's going to happen to you out in the field. So always remember to save your work. It still happens to the best of us. Just a reminder. So from there, now that we've saved our AI file, I want to go in and File, and here's where we're going to make a multi-page PDF. So you're going to do another Save As. This is where you will go to your project folder, project 1. We're going to have deliverables, and this is where we're going to put our deliverable files to the client. I'm going to be your client, so you're going to put your file, you're going to put your PDF file in deliverables. You'll see a drop down right here, and in that drop down you'll see an option to save as an Adobe PDF, and it's going to go in the deliverables folder. And from there, you're going to leave all this at default. You're going to hit save, and I'm going to go to my Finder, and we can check that file just to make sure. Digital drawing projects. This is why I want you to keep everything organized, guys, because you see how fast I can go back in and find this stuff. Here's our PDF. There are our 3 pages, and that is how it's done, y'all. So I know that was a lot, and I'm sorry it took so long, and I want to show you everything I can. So there we go, we're done. We're going to wrap it up. I'll be looking forward to seeing your submitted AI files and PDF files so I can grade them. Good luck, guys. Hope you guys had fun with this, and I'll check you on the flip side.